Welcome back to Dynasty Orphans. My name is Chris, and we are going to be reviewing another one of my Dynasty teams today that took third place last year. I hate taking third place, even second, fourth. Making the playoffs and not winning is almost worse than not making the playoffs at all, but we will go into everything that went into that situation this year, and without any further ado, let's dive right in. We will start right here at the top with the quarterbacks. This is a super flex league, and I have Josh Allen. He's the 1-1. He's the most valuable asset in all of fantasy. You'll see Mason Rudolph here in my lineup from the end of this past year, filling in spots along with Cooper Rush, who was the same while Dak Prescott was out. And then below that, you'll see Tua Tagovailoa, who, of course, is a volatile asset. Nobody knows how long he's going to be able to stay healthy, if he's going to be able to avoid those concussion problems again. And then even when he was on the field, they just did not look that good this past year, leading to some speculation about Mike McDaniel kind of being on the hot seat. You don't like that for a starting quarterback who could be one of your cornerstone assets. Next, you will see Justin Fields on my bench. This is found money after he signed the contract in free agency to be the starting quarterback for the Jets. They're only giving him $20 million a year, but he's just not a proven asset as an NFL quarterback. But it sounds like he's going to be the starter, which means he's going to be a QB1 this year. I am ecstatic about this. It couldn't have gone better. I don't know if I'll hang on to him or try to trade him for maximum value if anyone's real excited about it, but that really solidifies my quarterback room going into next year. Next up, let's talk running backs. Also very strong, just like the first video. James Cook, Devon Achane, Jonathan Taylor, Chase Brown, and Jerome Ford is kind of a placeholder here right now. There is a chance that he could be the starter for Cleveland coming up this year, with Nick Chubb still having not signed, and I don't think they've picked up anyone else in free agency thus far. On the bench, I've got Patrick Taylor from down the stretch last year when he was filling in. I had lots of Patrick Taylor when he was on the waiver wire. Rico Dowdle now in Carolina. Kind of tricky to see where he has a ton of value, especially compared to this past year. And Dameon Pierce, who might be in the same situation. Not a ton of value there, especially market value right now. Switching to wide receivers, I've got Brian Thomas as my clear wide receiver 1. T. Higgins, super strong wide receiver 2. And then it drops off to Jaden Reed, who was a dynasty wide receiver 1 as early as last year. As Green Bay doesn't seem to know what they want to do with their wide receivers, they certainly don't have an alpha. You have Josh Jacobs calling for them to have an established wide receiver 1, and no one in their current room has stepped up. Let's look at the depth here. It's mostly young options, with Hollywood Brown and Amari Cooper being the exceptions. With Hollywood going back to Kansas City, you like that, except for Shee Rice coming back and Xavier Worthy kind of establishing himself there as a cornerstone piece. You don't know what you're going to get from him. It's probably not going to be that much. I would have liked to see him sign a slightly bigger deal somewhere else, someone who still sees the potential that he had with Baltimore. Then you have Trey Tucker, Michael Wilson, and Parker Washington, who are basically 3 clones of the same player. Young, unproven, high potential, flashed on and off, not really anything you want to be super invested in. Depth here is a little bit shaky. Definitely need upgrades there before going into the season with this wide receiver room. With tight ends, Trey McBride doesn't get much better than that. He is the consensus tight end 2 in Dynasty. Love that. Though my only depth here is AJ Barner, who I love having at the end of my bench. He showed some potential, got some snaps even when Noah Fant was healthy last year. But definitely going to need to add someone there by the start of the season as well. Moving to injured reserve, you have Jordan Mason, who obviously was on and off the injury report, and Christian McCaffrey, and Elijah Mitchell, and Isaac Orendo, and then Jordan Mason finished the season on IR. He's probably not going to have a ton of value going into the year, but I think he proved that he can be the established running back 2 in San Francisco this year. Then I've got Rashid Shaheed here, who New Orleans has not signed any established wide receivers in free agency. They're going into next year with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed as their starters most likely, and with Derek Carr restructuring his contract, they are counting on him to be one of their guys, one of their difference makers, and we saw how that worked in the first couple of weeks when everyone was healthy this past year. So I'm glad to have him back on the end of my bench after everything kind of settles in this offseason. Let's talk about taxi. I've got Spencer Rattler, speaking of the Saints. I've got Spencer Rattler, who played in spots when Derek Carr was hurt. It's not great, but you like the potential there. He has all the talent in the world. He was toe-to-toe with Caleb Williams in college, and you just hope that he gets an opportunity and can kind of find that polish, or maybe the coach that really helps him find his full potential. Malik Washington and Jordan Whittington are similar assets where they are going to be sitting behind established wide receivers for now, but as second-year players who showed tons of potential, had some productivity, it's only a matter of time before they are established starters in their respective offenses, and I'm really excited for that. Even if they're at the end of my bench, even if they don't touch the starting lineup this year, I'm going to take dart throws on them in every league that I've got. Dion Vaki and Ryan Flournoy are probably cut candidates after the rookie draft. They didn't really show any flashes or any playing time. And then moving to draft picks, not great. I mortgaged my first, second, and third round picks this year, chasing the championship, and it didn't work out. So I'm stuck with the 410 and the 510 as things stand right now. Not gonna find many difference makers at that point in the rookie draft. All of my future picks are there, and I would very much like to avoid mortgaging those as well. You'll see here that the 101 in this league is on the trade block. I have offered Devon Achane for this pick to pick Ashton Genty, and I was declined. So, depending on what you think about each of those two players, that is an interesting situation. Who knows if I might end up buttering that up and trying to get Genty. I'm not super duper sold on Achane as a future asset, but Drake May, Patrick Mahomes, and Javonte Williams here on the trade block as well is crazy. So, there should be some significant movement here in the trade market as we get closer to the season, once the rookie picks shake out, and maybe during the rookie draft, but I will be very active there, trying to get my team over the hump for 2025, and hopefully we can win that championship after taking third place this year, and I believe scoring the most points, which is ultimately frustrating. So that is this team in Fantasy Gurus going into 2025. We're going from third to first this year. Thank you for watching. Hope you learned something or just kind of work through the strategy with me there, and getting better every day and winning championships. That's what it's all about. Thanks for watching. Peace.
We did it, Brooklyn. We did it.